gosh, it was such a nightmare on Saturday.
All right, live. We just have one more.
Where is it?
It's down below.
I think
on
it says
Instagram.
you are live.
And there we are, live on everything. As always, we are so excited to join you tonight. Welcome everybody to Monday Night Live.
Yes, the best night of the week. With
the lovely Kate Simmons. I'm Dean Nixon here in sunny St. George. And
partly cloudy.
Partly cloudy. I'm pretty confident. All I ever talk about is the weather. I love talking about weather. I'm sorry, people. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
We are excited to join you with TurningLeaf Health and Wellness out of St. George. Excited. This last couple weeks have been really powerful and interesting weeks for us.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of wonderful workshops and seminars. Kate's been launching some really cool content. Her
Soul Discovery,
which has come out. So we've got people that are just signing up right and left for that. So if that's something that's in your heart, you really jump on that as seats are filling very quickly, which I'm just super proud of.
I know.
It's such a cool thing that people are really needing right now. We really need that direction in our lives. So make sure that you message or follow the links and jump on board on that. And so we've got a lot of cool things. Our groups are growing.
Yes.
We've got the
shout out to the groups.
Women's group that Kate also leads, which has been just crazy to see the growth in that group and the sisterhood that really is there, as well as the level 1 or the Awakening group,
yes,
which a lot of you that are watching tonight attend. This is a group that's every Tuesday night. For those of you that have attended the seminar, at least there's a series of 4, and we're always talking about them, but if you've attended the first one, you are eligible for this group, and it's a free group, and it's great because it goes through content. It's a refresher, gives you a chance to rub shoulders. So make sure you attend that. That's also, and it's growing.
Justin says, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
We love to have Justin in there, yeah.
Going through the group. So we are super stoked.
And that group's called Move Your Feet. And like Dean was saying, we basically go over some of the all in the course of the year. We'll go over them all the principles that we cover in that Awakening seminar, and then have space to be able to talk about how life's going, navigate any challenges or any other things to be able to help keep you moving your feet forward in your own growth, which is something we at Turning Leaf, we're just super passionate about.
Super passionate. Yeah. And I think that's the part I hope that you recognize in a lot of the content that we're producing. It really comes from a place of humanity.
Yes.
And we're all in this human process together. And I think we get so turned sideways and backwards, looking for the finish line, trying to find the destination, only to come to the conclusion that it's not a race. It's essentially a process, and it's life. And so a lot of the content, a lot of the information, the groups and everything that you're finding here have a lot to do with learning to embrace your humanity, to embrace yourself, and to really be your best self.
Absolutely. And even the next layer over embracing is to just let it all shine, right? Like you showing up in your authentic expression, Dean showing up in his, me showing up in mine, just increases just our glory here on this earth. So that's a whole soapbox that I could get into. So we will harness that one for today and jump into our topic for the evening. I'm super excited. You know, we've had a handful of suggestions that have come in lately. By the way, if you watch our lives and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to see Dean and Kate talk on this topic, message us, slide into our DMs, hit us up, send us an email, call, whatever method of communication works best for you. We would love to talk about that topic for you.
Yes.
And so we've had some wonderful suggestions come in, and we felt really called to really go after this one, which I love when we started talking about it. And the title of tonight's Monday Night Live is The Simple Things. The little things.
The little things.
The little things.
The little things. It's like the simple things.
Yeah.
It's
which then I just think of that Flip, the band with Bono in it.
Oh, U2?
U2, right? They have a song called The Simple Things, I think.
Gotcha.
And so that just starts playing in my head, which is probably why I said The Simple Things.
Simple things. There you go. Yeah, it's this idea of the little things, and it's really an emphasis that we really wanted to put some energy into, as we have other topics, as Kate brought. There are other topics, and some of you that have put those out, please know we are going to address them.
Yes, 100%.
There are some specific ones that came up recently that we're going to do some more work on and preparation for. So we are excited about that in the future. However, this topic, the simple things, the little things, now I'm saying the simple things.
The simple things.
Is really based upon the understanding of how the little things in our lives are just as important as the big things. Mm-hmm. And we get so caught up in big movements. We get so caught up in big processes and making things happen quickly. We live in a world that is built on immediate gratification. Mm-hmm. We're built on a world where everything's immediate and everything's done for you. I remember very vividly and I was feel super old talking about it, but growing up back in the day, if you wanted a car, you had to work for that car. Nowadays, we live in a little bit more of abundance, and it's easier for us as parents and family members to provide cars and have more than one car. Mm-hmm. But a lot of families only had one car. So a lot of us were very motivated to kind of get out and get on our own and get our lives moving. Where nowadays we really live in a world where things come to us quicker. Mm-hmm. We can get a car. We can start driving early. We can kind of have our own autonomy, our own independence. And so it does make it a little bit less desirable or less in a hurry to move out, so to speak, and to kind of get out on your own and get out into life. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with this idea of, I want the big things in place before I move forward in my life. I want to have these things before I can get out and become or do. Mm-hmm. And so the proposal of this conversation and the premise of it is, it's the little things. Yes. It's the little things in our lives that bring us the most joy. It's the little things in our lives that move us forward the most.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I love that you looped in the failure to launch, right? Like, I love that that's kind of like what has been put out there for, that space in your life where you're still just living in your parents' basement and hanging out, like not really launching into your life experience. And I feel like that comes not only in the quest for wanting to have those big experiences, but also being a little bit afraid of not knowing how to create that. And we get in coupling with what you're saying, it's that like space of overwhelm, looking at, okay, I really want this thing in my life that feels really big. And so then we get overwhelmed and scared to go after it and or to even believe that we can achieve it.
Right.
So there's that twofold, right? Like, all we want to do is create and experience these big things in our lives. And then there's the side of us that is terrified of trying to do that. So we get paralyzed a little bit.
Very paralyzed. And a lot of it has to do with the unwillingness to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to feel uncomfortable. We don't want to feel that we're out of place. And I'm a big person in that. I love being comfortable, people. And
who can feel us in the back?
Right.
Who doesn't love to be comfortable?
Who doesn't love to be comfortable? We all want to be comfortable. We all want to feel and stay in that comfortable space. And so as a consequence of that, we don't really put ourselves out there. Mm-hmm. We don't really jump and start to move our feet and in a direction that moves us forward. The fear is that if I move my feet, I move away from where I'm comfortable. Mm-hmm. And this is part of the premise of today is it doesn't have to be big jumps. It doesn't have to be big, giant things that we're creating. It can be little movements. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that really blows me away, is how simple little movements can lead to big movements.
Absolutely. It's the place where all the power is, because it's so easy for us to look at people that are farther ahead on the path and be like, oh my gosh, I want that. And how did they get there? And all we see are what seem like giant steps or big leaps. We aren't privy to all of the tiny little pieces that add up to equal that big expression, which is why doing the tiny things, the small things, the simple, in quotes, because sometimes those tiny things are not easy to do, right?
No,
they still take courage and they take healthy risk and boundaries and commitments and all the things we talk about with you guys when we talk in coaching. However, they're more manageable than that giant leap of expression that oftentimes is what we see.
Yeah. And this is the piece that I think we struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And the other piece we struggle with it in is we struggle acknowledging the smaller things.
Yes.
And this is another piece I want to touch on is there are a million little things that you do every day that are healthy and successful.
Mm-hmm.
But how much credit have you given yourself for those today? Crickets, right? Crickets.
We're gonna let that sink in.
we don't let ourselves take credit for those little things, those little accomplishments, because in our minds, well, they're just little, but those
Mm-hmm.
little things add up. For example, how many of you made your bed this morning?
That's exactly where my head went to.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that may seem little, but that is actually a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's a big thing is because, and we've seen it, a lot of people were talking, make your bed. I think some general wrote a book or had a speech about it even recently, because nothing feels better than coming home and walking in your room at the end of a long, hard day and to feel like your room is clean and nice. And you see this made bed and you're like, whew, I really appreciate that little thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these little things that if we start doing these little things, they eventually become big things. But a lot of us get into this all or nothing thinking. And I think that's the other side of this conversation.
Right.
The other side of the conversation is this all or nothing thinking is, well, if I can't do any of it, I'm not going to do, if I can't do some of it, I'm not going to do any of it.
Mm-hmm. Right. To basically throw the baby out with the bathwater. I love that old expression, right? Like, one. I know. It's a little graphic. But it's that idea, right? Like if it all doesn't happen, then and we just dismiss it completely.
Yeah, I can't do any of this. And so a lot of times even in this failure to launch generation that we've been somewhat alluding to, I don't want to make it about that, but there is a lot of that. And every time I work with individuals that are in that position, a lot of it is the fear of, well, I can't go out and have all these things. I can't have this. I can't do this. And it's always all, I can't. And so when we start with the little things, all of a sudden we start seeing all the I cans.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start getting that movement forward, it becomes a tidal wave of little things.
Yes.
And this is always one of the analogies I like to use a lot. Like, have you ever made spaghetti, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take your pot and you fill the sink up with suds and you're ready to wash your pot out. And to get that big giant pot, who has a big giant opening, to get that pot down into the sink, how hard is it?
With the water already in there?
Yeah.
Hard.
It's hard with the water already in the sink.
Yeah, totally. To get it through the surface of the water.
Exactly.
I hear you. Okay.
But what happens when you take the strainer and throw it in the soapy water?
Oh, boop.
Goes right to the bottom. And it's little millions, it's these hundreds and hundreds of empty or these little holes that really allow that strainer to sink. Now, we can use this metaphor, and we do use it in a lot of ways. We use the metaphor in all the little ways that we critique ourselves and all the little things that we say to ourselves that destroy us, that it's the little things that poke holes in us. But the metaphor can swing the other way too, is that it's all the little things that you do every day make something impossible possible.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're taking that pot and you're trying to push it down into the suds, it's very hard to get it down. But if you take a strainer and push it in, it's very simple. And it has a lot to do with all the little things that we do every day. What are the everyday little things that you do that lead to one big success?
Yes, I love that. One of, I've talked about her before, one of my online mentors that I like to look to and watch what she's doing and what she's creating. Her name is Marcy Locke. And one of her big mantras is inch by inch, life is a cinch, and yard by yard, it's hard. And I really like that because it's clever and rhymey. Is that a haiku? I'm not that educated in the poetry world. But I really like that. And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Yeah. Like when we keep our focus on just the next little thing or allowing that, like you were just speaking of, instead of having all of the self-destructive, unhealthy places that we can go to, like line up and convict us of being completely worthless and unlovable and all those things, to start looking at the tiny things that give us more evidence the other way.
Right.
You're going to find lots of evidence that way too.
Right.
And capturing all of that, keeping it with you as you continue to move forward one more inch at a time, all of a sudden you've gone a yard.
Right.
Right. And then people look at you and they're like, oh my gosh, how did you make all this motion? How did you create all this growth? And it's through those small and simple things like we're talking about, right? Those little holes that you're making that make it less impossible.
Absolutely. The consistencies that we keep.
Yes.
You know, as you were talking about in our prior conversation before we came online, it really is about being able to be consistent and to create consistency in your life. And the more that we create these consistencies, the easier things are. Now, in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about,
we love that book.
He talks about how we can do stacking of habits, where you take a positive habit that you currently have and you attach another habit to it that makes it easier to start a second habit, third, fourth, and fifth. So it's that first habit, that first consistent little thing that we do that we can attach other things to.
Yes.
So it really is these little things in life that make the biggest difference in who we are. And so I talked about making your bed. The second one is, how many of you take 5 minutes every day to just sit and breathe? And this is a little thing, but I can tell you, this is one that a challenge I've been giving recently in my corporate training. And I hear the results coming back. There's already results coming back. And I call it pushing pause for 5 minutes.
Oh, I love it.
Push pause for 5 minutes and just clear your mind. And the results I keep hearing back is, I respond differently. I don't respond as quickly. I'm a lot clearer in my message, et cetera, et cetera. So all these messages, all these things that just keep coming. It's a really powerful thing. Little, simple, very simple little thing. It's the little things. So how many of us are doing hygiene? How many of us are taking care of ourselves? Brushing your teeth. How many of you take 2 minutes a day to brush your teeth at least twice a day? Little things.
Right. Yes.
How many of us take the time to really drink water and really connect to the water as you drink it, and really feel connected to it?
Right.
A little thing. And so these are little things that I'm suggesting. And that's what I really wanted to do, is we wanted to suggest some of the little things that are big difference makers.
Right. That increase and have immediate results, really. Yep. So some that I would add to your list, if I may.
Please.
This is something that I've recently started doing, and I know it's something that influencers have been talking about for a very, very long time, but beginning my day in gratitude. Like just starting my day, coming up with 3 things that I'm grateful for that day, and then moving into my whirlwind of a morning, usually, even though I try really hard to be intentional with it. Those pieces kind of shift around, and it's my beautiful expression, right? So that gratitude practice. Yeah. And another thing that when you were speaking about all those different little things that you can start to practice now, and once again, I'm going to lean hard into that word practice because I love it. I love get curious. I love taking things in practice because then it gives you space to be in practice. Yep. You're not at the full expression of opening night for the show that you're producing, right? Like it's a practice rehearsal. It's just practice. So as you're practicing it, you're also practicing. One other thing I love about the small things is practicing keeping your commitments to you, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a little, right? But it's big.
But it's big because I don't know about you guys, but in years past, and it still tends to be a little bit of my Achilles heel, a little bit, is my ability to have good follow through and hang on to my commitments. And so the more I practice with those smaller things, the simple things, the tiny things, the more my commitment muscle is being exercised. And then I have a lot of evidence about, wow, actually, I'm really good about keeping my commitments to myself.
Yeah.
And by choosing to start in the small places, in the places that seem a little bit big and hard to manage at the time. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I tend in the all or nothing area, right? Like it's really easy for me to make this like amazing plan where I'm going to get up at 4:53 a.m. and I'm going to do all of these things, right? Which isn't in alignment with the way habit forming builds and the way that creation builds and the way that growth happens, right? But to say, okay, I can start my morning in gratitude every single day. And once that, like Dean was saying, in Atomic Habits, once that is solidified and I'm doing it without even putting any energy or effort into it, then you can do another one. And tiny by tiny by tiny, then you've got this beautiful grand expression.
Right. And that's the part we have to recognize in life. Our life is a tapestry that we're weaving every day. Mm. Every day you weave a new thread in. Every day you weave a new pattern in. Every day your life is a tapestry. And if we think that we are a giant completed rug, or if we think that we will ever see the completion of our tapestry, we're unrealistic, because our tapestry is a part of the greater tapestry. We have a small portion in a giant tapestry that's being woven every day. Your interactions with the people around you are interwoven into their lives. The simple little things that you do, the little things you say every day, a simple little hello, a simple I love you, I'm sorry, how are you, taking care of another person, showing an act of kindness. These are all threads that we are weaving into our tapestry. Yes. And our patterns, and every single one of us leave an impact in this world, short as it may be or long as it can be. Whatever it is your tapestry, it is your pattern, it is your thread, and it's your responsibility to make a difference every day and to put the little things and intertwine them into the other things that make this life an incredible experience for others around us. So we challenge you to really focus on the little things this week and realize how much of a big difference they truly make.
I love it. Could not have ended it better, Dean. So in closing, because we are over like every week, we really try to stick to 20 minutes, but man, once we get rolling, it can get going. So, but we love you. Jackie says, double dog dare you.
That a girl.
There, I love it. But we love you. We hope you have a wonderful week. Please, please, please take this topic to your dinner table. Talk to your loved ones about it. Talk to your friends and family at work and all of them. That's where I work, is with my friends and family, but whatever that looks like for you. And start the conversation about the little things that make the big difference, right? And as always, we would really appreciate your like, your love, your share, helping us get the message out farther and help us move our mission to be able to help as many people as we possibly can to learn and grow and to develop their own authentic expression, all the things that we're always trying to do. So have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Monday Night Live. Bye, guys.
Bye.
And one more.
You got a low battery up there. You got to close.
I know. I was hoping you didn't see it.
All right. Maya, we just have one more.